When you watch professional wrestling, the fans in the stands, like, they know the punches aren't actually landing.
Right. Everybody knows it's staged.
Exactly. They know the bitter rivalries are predetermined in a writer's room. It's a concept called kayfabe.
Right, where everyone just quietly agrees to protect the illusion.
Yeah, from the performers to the audience, because the performance is the product. But what happens when the wrestler actually gets hurt?
Or, decides to sue the promoter.
Exactly, or just walks out of the ring entirely to star in a Broadway musical.
Which is actually happening.
It is. Welcome to today's deep dive. Today is Thursday, March 19, 2026, and our mission for this deep dive is to explore the incredibly messy landscape of reality television, where that exact illusion is completely breaking down.
It's just wild to watch.
It really is. We have a massive stack of articles today from Reality Blurb and Reality Tea, and we are looking at what happens when the fourth wall collapses, unscripted drama bleeds into real-world legal battles, and the stars attempt to outgrow the networks that birthed them.
It is a fascinating evolution to witness because, the era of just flipping tables and throwing wine for a paycheck, that's over.
It's so over.
Today, we're analyzing billion-dollar media empires that are facing unprecedented existential crises from the very people they made famous.
Yeah, and we are going to get into all of the latest insider tea, the new streaming show, casting shakeups, the petty feuds, all of it.
It's a lot.
But before we do any of that, we need to completely drop the playful tone for a moment. Our first story deals with a deeply serious issue involving real crimes and real victims.
Right. We need to handle this with absolute impartiality and respect.
Exactly. Because the reality TV landscape isn't just dealing with civil lawsuits right now. It is continuing to reckon with severe criminal consequences stemming from its foundational family empires.
Yeah, this is about the latest news out of the Duggar family, the stars of the former TLC mega hit 19 Kids and Counting.
Yesterday, it was announced that 31-year-old Joseph Duggar has been arrested on charges of child molestation.
And the allegations involve a victim who was under 12 years old.
Yes, specifically, the Bay County Sheriff's Office released a statement explaining that a 14-year-old victim came forward. She claimed that back in 2020, when she was just 9 years old, Joseph abused her while they were on vacation in Panama City Beach, Florida.
The details from the investigation are just really disturbing. The victim alleged that while they were under a blanket, Joseph asked her to sit on his lap and grazed her genitals.
Just awful.
She stated that he apologized afterward, and the action stopped. But the investigation escalated really rapidly this week.
Right, because on Tuesday, March 17th, the victim's father reportedly confronted Joseph.
And according to authorities, Joseph allegedly admitted to what he had done, not just to the father, but also to detectives from the Taneytown Police Department in Arkansas.
He was arrested, and a mugshot was released showing him in a dark gray T-shirt with a neutral expression. He's currently awaiting extradition to Bay County, Florida.
A very heavy situation.
It is, and I struggle with the idea that these are isolated incidents. When you look at the history of this specific family within the reality TV ecosystem, you are looking at a repetitive, deeply entrenched cycle.
You really are.
We have to contextualize this with the tragic parallel of Joseph's older brother, Josh Duggar.
Right. The timeline of Josh's downfall really reveals the systemic failure at play here.
Yeah.
Back in 2015, the world learned that as a teenager, Josh Duggar had molested 5 girls.
Including some of his own siblings.
Exactly. And that revelation is what initially forced the cancellation of 19 Kids and Counting. Yet, the toxic cycle just continued off camera.
Yeah, because Josh was later outed in the Ashley Madison data breach for infidelity and pornography addiction.
All while publicly espousing this extreme religious purity. And that ultimately culminated in his 2021 arrest on federal charges for receiving and possessing child sexual abuse material.
He's currently serving a 12-year sentence.
Right, with a release date in 2032.
It's like watching a carefully constructed, highly marketable facade of traditional family values completely crumble under the heavy weight of dark, suppressed realities.
It really is.
And I have to push back on the idea that network television was just an innocent bystander in all of this. You have these environments, essentially funded and broadcast by major media companies for years, that provide the financial insulation necessary to mask or even enable incredibly toxic behavior under the guise of wholesome entertainment.
What's fascinating here is the economic disincentive to look too closely at your own cash cow. The network eventually stepped away when the public pressure became insurmountable, But the damage was already done.
Yeah, years of damage.
Right. The highly insulated, deeply patriarchal environment that the television show helped finance and protect for so long allowed these behaviors to fester in the dark without any external oversight.
And that extreme lack of network oversight, the kind that allowed criminal behavior to hide in the shadows for years, is exactly what is currently being put on trial in the civil courts right now.
Yes. The pivot from criminal to civil liability is huge.
Reality stars across the board are finally testing whether networks have a legal duty of care. And that brings us to the very public, very expensive battles happening right now across the Bravo universe.
Where talent is turning around and aggressively suing the networks themselves.
Exactly. The legal liability of producing unscripted television is being tested in unprecedented ways.
It's a major transition.
So let's look at what's happening over at Bravo. Britt Eady, who was a newbie on season 16 of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, just hit the network with a $20 million sexual harassment lawsuit.
$20 million. That is not a small number.
Not at all. Britt is claiming she endured sexual harassment, emotional distress, and a hostile work environment while filming.
And this all stems from a highly publicized incident during the season.
Right, where veteran cast member Kenya Moore allegedly showed explicit photos of Britt at an event while the cameras were rolling. Now, Britt claims it wasn't even her in the photos, but the damage was done.
And Bravo is mounting an incredibly aggressive defense here.
They really are. They are essentially asking a federal judge to dismiss the case entirely.
Which is a fascinating look into the legal mechanics of reality TV. Bravo's lawyers are stating that Britt is trying to rewrite history and her own contractual agreements.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they point out that Britt signed a contract explicitly acknowledging that the show features provocative conduct or speech and that production could involve emotionally challenging circumstances.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I have to ask, how does that hold up in court? You can't just sign a contract that waives your basic right to a safe workplace, can you? Is a reality TV contract basically a legal free pass to enforce a hostile work environment?
Well, that is the $20 million question. Bravo is arguing that you cannot sue for a hostile work environment when the hostile work environment is the actual product being manufactured and sold to the public.
That is wild to think about.
It is. And if Bravo wins this case, it sets a massive, ironclad precedent for the entire entertainment industry. It legally codifies that reality stars assume all emotional, psychological, and reputational risks the absolute second their pen hits the dotted line.
And to add to their defense, Bravo noted they actually suspended Kenya for her behavior. Like, she hasn't been asked back.
Right. While they did offer Britt a contract to return, which she declined.
It's a total legal minefield, and this headache isn't isolated to Atlanta. Over in Florida, The Real Housewives of Miami is officially on a long pause.
Which is usually just corporate speak for cancellation or a massive reboot.
Exactly. And the rumors heavily point to legal issues being the primary culprit here as well. Alexia Napola's husband, Todd Napola, filed a $10 million defamation lawsuit against Bravo.
Now, he did file to dismiss that lawsuit with prejudice back in December. And just to be clear on the legal jargon, dismissing a case with prejudice means the case is permanently closed.
It's done.
Right. It is dead in the water, and he cannot bring those same claims back to court later.
So if the lawsuit is permanently dead, why is the show still on a long pause?
Because the logistical damage to the production ecosystem was already done. Producers felt that without Todd willing to be on camera, Alexia's storyline was essentially paralyzed.
That makes sense.
When your talent is actively suing your distributor, even if they eventually drop it, the traditional mechanisms of making the show completely break down. The trust between the producers and the cast just evaporates.
But here is where the landscape is completely fracturing. When a network like Bravo hits pause on a franchise, or when they suspend a major star to deal with these legal headaches, those stars don't just fade into obscurity anymore.
No, absolutely not, because the streaming giants are waiting right in the wings to scoop up the free agents.
Amazon is capitalizing on this exact moment of network vulnerability.
Amazon is absolutely lurking.
We have the details on a brand new, currently untitled Amazon reality show that is already filming in the Dominican Republic. It is being described by insiders as Eat, Pray, Love meets Ultimate Girls Trip.
That is quite the mashup.
And the cast list is an absolute wild mix of reality television alumni. Let me just list them off.
Go for it.
We have Kenya Moore, fresh off her Bravo suspension, Margaret Josephs from New Jersey, Kim Zolciak. From The Bachelor Nation, we've got Caitlin Bristow and Jen Tran.
Wow.
Brittany Cartwright from The Valley, Christine Quinn from Selling Sunset, Tamar Braxton, and Savannah and Julie Chrisley.
Okay, if we connect this to the bigger picture of streaming economics, Amazon's strategy is brilliant.
How so?
Think about the customer acquisition cost. Traditional cable networks like Bravo, TLC, or MTV spent tens of millions of dollars and over a decade doing the research and development to build these stars' brands.
Oh, totally.
So Amazon doesn't have to build an audience from scratch. They are just harvesting pre-established fandoms. They put them all in a house together, let the established personalities clash, and reap the viewership rewards without any of the heavy lifting.
It proves that network loyalty is completely dead. We have officially entered a ruthless free agency era in reality television.
Or really have.
And the traditional networks are feeling the heat, which means they are dialing up the pressure on the shows they do have in production. We are seeing that pressure cooker actively bubbling over right now in San Francisco, where The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Season 7 is currently filming.
Salt Lake always brings the drama.
They just brought on a newbie, Ashley Kwai, who goes by Just Kwai. She is a self-described biker babe, married just last September with a 23-year-old daughter.
Integrating a new cast member into an established group is always a psychological experiment. How is she handling it?
Well, she apparently forgot to pack a green outfit for their St. Patrick's Day flight. And there are already videos leaking of her literally crying at a bar while veterans Lisa Barlow and Meredith Marks try to console her.
Crying over a missed theme party outfit.
Yeah.
It sounds ridiculous, but producers know exactly how to manipulate the environment to induce a breakdown over something trivial.
Yeah.
They isolate a new cast member, heighten the stakes of compliance, and suddenly a missing green shirt feels like a career-ending crisis.
But what makes this Salt Lake City trip so jarring is the contrast happening off camera. Veteran cast member Mary Cosby is notably absent from this San Francisco trip.
Right.
She is currently grieving the tragic February 23rd overdose of her son, Robert Jr. The network reportedly didn't film his funeral, which was just held.
That contrast is staggering. You have a new cast member having a manufactured breakdown over a St. Patrick's Day outfit, surrounded by cameras, desperately trying to secure her spot in the social hierarchy of the show.
Right.
And simultaneously, a veteran cast member is at home dealing with the most profound, unscriptable human grief imaginable. It really highlights the surreal duality of the genre.
It really exposes the whole charade.
The networks demand high-stakes emotion, but the manufactured drama completely pales in comparison to the actual real-world tragedies these people navigate.
Which makes the day-to-day petty squabbles seem less like real life and more like a strategic game. And here's where we get back to that kayfabe analogy from the beginning, right? These stars know exactly how to play the game. They aren't just reacting, they are actively self-producing. Let's look at the latest Real Housewives of Beverly Hills sneak peek.
Let's do it.
Dorit Kemsley actively confronts Sutton Strack for allegedly saying she did a Google deep dive into newbie Amanda Francis's past involvement in a cult.
Which is a classic documented misdirection tactic if you actually look at the footage.
Completely, because if you watch the flashback, it wasn't even Sutton who used the phrase deep dive, it was Kathy Hilton.
Exactly.
And Jennifer Tilly is sitting right there freely admitting, I've Googled every single person in this group, but Dorit ignores them and zeroes in entirely on Sutton, literally calling her a moron in her confessional.
Because Dorit isn't actually mad about the Google search. She is carefully curating her narrative arc for the season.
Right, she needs the conflict.
She knows Sutton's a fan favorite and a reliable sparring partner who will give her the on-camera friction she needs to secure her storyline. She is playing for the social media algorithms, not for the reality of the room.
They're curating everything. Even their outfits are weapons now. Fans are currently accusing Kyle Richards of blatantly copying Lisa Vanderpump's iconic confessional look.
The spider brooches.
Yes. Kyle showed up on screen wearing a dark blazer, a white button-up, a tie, and these little spider brooches. It is pure LVP cosplay.
And this visual cue is happening right amid the swirling rumors that Kyle is dating country singer Morgan Wade, while maintaining this ambiguous stance on her sexuality.
Oh, and Lisa Vanderpump caught the visual cue immediately. When asked about Kyle, LVP threw some expertly crafted shade, basically saying, I don't understand the ambiguity, she should just be with Morgan.
Incredible.
Even over on Southern Charm, you see the exact same level of brand control. Austin Kroll goes on the after show and claims he politely friend-zones Sally Carson because he's turning over a new leaf.
Naturally.
But Sally immediately fires back, insisting the feelings were completely reciprocated, warning him not to make her look crazy and promising to bring the receipts to the reunion.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Every single one of these stars has become a hyper-aware brand manager.
Exactly.
They aren't living their lives on camera. They are protecting their character alignment. They know exactly which rivalries keep the audience talking and which confessionals will get clipped on TikTok.
But that raises a fascinating dilemma. What happens when a star decides they are finally too big for the reality TV chessboard? When the game just doesn't serve their brand anymore?
Well, we are seeing the blueprint for that exit strategy being drawn up right now in real time. And it involves completely leapfrogging the traditional media structure.
Yes, over in the streaming world, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives breakout star Whitney LEAVITT is dropping major hints about her exit from the Hulu show.
She's making some big moves.
Huge moves. She is currently celebrating an absolute record-breaking Broadway run starring as Roxy Hart in Chicago.
The financial numbers for her run are staggering for a reality star making a stage debut.
In just a single week, the show earned $1.45 million. Over her first 6 weeks, she brought in over $8 million for the production.
When you bring in that kind of undeniable mainstream capital, the power dynamic entirely flips.
It does. The demand is so high they actually extended her contract, and her Dancing with the Stars partner, Mark Ballas, is even flying in to join her on stage as Billy Flynn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Whitney told reporters that while she wouldn't be where she is without the Hulu show, it feels like it's time to challenge herself and fulfill passions she had way before the reality TV camera showed up.
That's very telling.
She said she and her husband are figuring out her future in real time, but she is highly questioning if she can keep filming the new season of Mormon Wives with her schedule.
This raises an important question about the modern life cycle of a reality star. 10 years ago, the goal was to stay on the Bravo or MTV payroll as long as humanly possible.
Because once you left, you disappeared.
Exactly. Today, Whitney is executing the ultimate pivot. She took the massive, scandalous notoriety from a viral streaming show, and instead of just launching a skincare line or doing club appearances, she used it to legitimize herself in mainstream prestige entertainment.
So what does this all mean? Is reality TV no longer the final destination?
Starring on Broadway proves there is a highly lucrative, critically respected life waiting after the reality TV bubble bursts. It's just a very messy stepping stone now.
It really is a masterclass in leveraging 15 minutes of notoriety into a lifelong, credible career. And it brings us right back to the massive shifts we are seeing across this entire landscape. We have covered a lot of ground today.
The ground is shifting beneath everyone's feet in this industry. The days of naive, unscripted television where producers held all the cards, those are officially over.
And to you, listening right now, this is why you should care. This isn't just about watching a guilty pleasure show on a Tuesday night to unwind.
Not at all.
You are watching a multi-million-dollar global industry publicly reckon with labor laws, legal liability, and the very definition of the word reality.
Right. We started by looking at the devastating real-world consequences of family empires that were insulated by network television for far too long.
And we saw how the fallout from that era has led to a new reality, where stars like Britt Eady are dragging networks into federal court, testing whether hostile work environments are legally protected as entertainment.
We watched massive names flee the traditional networks to become free agents for streaming giants like Amazon.
And finally, we saw stars like Whitney LEAVITT completely transcend the genre to conquer Broadway. The next time you tune in to watch a massive reality TV fight over a seating chart or a skip theme party, you won't just see the yelling.
You will see the intricate, highly strategic self-producing happening just beneath the surface.
You'll see the contract clauses, the brand management, and the audition tape for their next Amazon spinoff.
It completely changes the way you process the media you consume.
Yeah.
You start seeing the invisible strings pulling the performance.
Which leaves us with one final lingering thought for you to mull over today. We've talked about stars recognizing their own value, managing their own brands, and aggressively fighting these network contracts in court.
Yeah.
If they are already operating as hyper-aware professionals in a multi-billion-dollar industry, how long until reality TV stars officially unionize?
Imagine a world where they demand the same protections as SAG-AFTRA actors.
What happens to the unscripted genre when every table flip requires a stunt coordinator and every screaming match has to be overseen by a union rep? Are we ever actually watching unscripted reality anymore, or are we just witnessing an elaborate, legally binding improvisation game? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.